girl that was found decomposing in the front trunk of David's Tesla has finally been identified, and based on all the new details we just got, it seems that this is not going to end well for David. So for context, this girl's name is Celeste, and she was found in the front trunk of David's Tesla, and it turns out that Celeste was 15 years old. And this is where it makes me even more sicker to my stomach, more worse, because Celeste has been missing since April of 2024. Her Celeste mom's just told TMZ that her daughter had been dating a boyfriend named David.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel.
Traffic jams started by paid actors? This is what I mean.
Well, I see the start of traffic.
Watch this.
Again, this how it started. Use the paid actors.
There's no reason they shouldn't be doing this. They're getting paid to sit there, she said.
What the fuck going on here?
Someone explain this to me. This isn't a NASCAR race. Why are they sitting there? The Matrix is gonna Matrix. The Truman Show, y'all. Stay weird.
Let me tell you some things I just found out about. The Guinness World Record for most birthdays in one day belongs to a Pakistani family, with every member, including the mother and father, having been born on August 1st. Arnold Schwarzenegger had an older brother who was killed in a car crash in 1971 while driving drunk, and they both have sons named Patrick Schwarzenegger. How did I not hear that one before? The Luxor Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas is the third largest pyramid in the entire world. Tobey Maguire's father was convicted of robbing a bank. A New York man was arrested for keeping 7 live sharks in a pool in his basement. The creator of Pokemon was known as Mr. Bug when he was a child because he loved collecting bugs. Makes sense how Pokemon happened. There is a giant panda boot camp in China that teaches captive pandas survival skills before releasing them into the wild. I actually knew this one already, but I have to say it because humanity sent people to the moon before we added wheels to luggage.
Can someone tell me what was captured flying across the skies of Argentina in broad daylight? A large fireball-shaped object streaked across the skies of Argentina in broad daylight and was captured on multiple cameras. As a matter of fact, take a look at these videos. Look at that.
It's a meteor. It looks like it.
Straight up, straight up.
Falling from the sky.
He's telling him, look. When the video first starts, because it's so fast, it starts off just like this. And then, watch what it does. It actually gets brighter, as if it's igniting something to go faster. As a matter of fact, take one more look at it and watch how it lights up the sky as it shoots across. Look at that. After watching it again, what are your thoughts as to what you think that is? And the video did come from a news website source. So it did happen, and there's plenty of videos online if you search for Argentina fireball in the sky. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
A Nigerian chef has just attempted history by cooking the largest pot of jollof rice ever. But when it was time to be weighed, something unbelievable happened. Linda Baci already holds the world record for the longest marathon cooking session ever. But over the weekend, she took things to the next level. She made a 1,000-liter pot, used a massive 4,000 kg of rice, which is the weight of a medium elephant or 2.5 cars. She used 612 kg of oil, don't tell America, 300 kg of onions, 164 kg of goat meat, and to cook it all, 1,200 kg of gas. But after a brutal 9 hours, when it finally came time to weigh this monster dish, as it was being lifted by this crane, one of the sides of the custom pot buckled and gave way to the supporting legs. Now, luckily, none of the food spilled, but ultimately, despite 2 attempts, it could not be weighed and the world record was not recognized. But don't worry, it was not for nothing. The food didn't go to waste. It was distributed in containers and fed to the crowds watching.
Can you tell what this is?
Wow.
It is the Ursula animatronic from Disneyland when its head fell off and it kept singing. There's a video at the end if you want to skip to that. It is disgustingly terrifying. It's one of the creepiest animatronic malfunctions I've ever seen. And this is how big she is in comparison to people, by the way, before she was painted and everything. She is massive. She is 7 feet tall, 12 feet wide because of her tentacles, and her head just fell off one day. Like, she is an absolute feat of engineering, and Ursula is queen. Okay, my favorite Disney song of all time will always be Poor Unfortunate Souls. But if I saw this with her singing, with her head off, and you could still see her mouth moving, I would be traumatized for life. Watch this video and let me know what we're thinking, and would this freak you out if you saw this animatronic malfunction? To this day, I've never found an animatronic malfunction that was scarier than this one. If you know of any, let me know.
Check it out. Imagine the kids in the crowd seeing it.
Ain't no way this is Zac Efron, y'all. There's no fucking way. What the happened to Zac Efron, y'all? Am I lost? This is Zac Efron?
This is clone.
In 2025? This man look like Efron Zac. So y'all telling me right now that this is the same person that played in High School Musical, Zac Efron. This was a couple years ago. So how the hell he go from this to this?
I don't know.
It looked like on this picture he was swimming with the puffer fish. Nah, y'all, I'm being dead ass serious. What the be going on in Hollywood, y'all? They said right here was in 2021. Right here is 2025. When he had a daddy makeover?
Big
Did
difference.
he even got kids? Is this what men do? Did he get jawline surgery? Did his whole face get changed from plastic surgery? Somebody let me know down below in the comments. Who the fuck is this really? Is this really Zac Efron?
Shit that I'm about to tell you right
Look
now,
like he got a tag.
because I didn't believe it. So a whole village in Russia fell asleep for 7 days. You ain't hear what I just said, right? An entire village in Russia fell asleep for 7 days. Mind you, everybody in that village is still confused to know why they all fell asleep for 7 days at the same exact time. But here it is. When that entire village woke up, most of them didn't even know where they were at. Some of them didn't even know who they were. And to top it all off, they didn't know why they all fell asleep for those 7 days. Now, everybody who knows about this doesn't know exactly what happened. They're saying that they believe there had to be some kind of chemical that made them fall asleep. Now, ask yourself this. A whole village falls asleep 7 days straight, and that's just regular? Nah, that's not regular. Something happened here. What kind of chemical can put a whole village to sleep for 7 days? That chemical had to be strong as hell. You even have people saying it could have been something paranormal. A lot of other people were saying that they might have been running the test to see exactly how people would react and respond if something like this happened. I guess they got their answers. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. You see that a whole village fell asleep for 7 days. If whatever chemical or whatever they did was unleashed fully, they might not have woken up.
Here's some of the creepiest ads that have ever aired. This ad was aired on August 1st, 2012, and was meant to spread awareness of the company Little Baby's Ice Cream, but it ended up spreading fear instead. If the visuals of the supposed ice cream man eating itself isn't enough to disturb you, the raspy voice of the narrator will.
I eat Little Baby's ice cream. It keeps me young. It keeps me light on my feet.
Throughout this ad, the narrator tells you all the good things that will happen to you if you eat their ice cream. And the narrator finishes it off with their disturbing slogan.
Ice cream is a feeling.
That ain't no damn ice cream.
Pilates is demonic. Pilates was created in the 1920s by Joseph Pilates. He was a sickly man who healed his body through exercise. He taught his first method in New York City in 1926. On the surface, it seemed innocent, but there's actually a little more that you might not know. 4 years after starting Pilates, Joseph actually joined the Freemasons in 1930. The Freemasons are a secret brotherhood that's been whispered about for centuries. It's said to quietly pull the strings of everyone powerful behind the scenes. While his exercise has nothing to do with the Freemasons specifically, his membership connects him to a society that some Christians view as spiritually concerning. It's not Pilates itself, but the history raises a lot of questions. Joseph had studied yoga, Zen Buddhism, and other Eastern disciplines. This shaped his method's focus on mindfulness, breathing, and mind and body connection. So the movements themselves are not inherently evil. That's not what I'm saying. But the philosophies behind them are what Christians are very concerned about. They consider your mind and your body to be connected. And so when you're practicing these movements that have been influenced by things outside of your faith, by like philosophies and ideas and ways of life that you aren't familiar with, they believe that this can have an influence on you, like because it came from like other sorts of spiritual origins. So let me know if you think Pilates is demonic, and follow for more.
So
What do you think, Seekers?
World War II, they did an insane amount of nuclear blowing up nukes. They used a lot of soldiers for experiments to like on ships like in the ocean. So they would be on a ship in the ocean and they would set off a nuke and they would say, okay, now cover your eyes with your hands. And they said with the brightness and radiation that these nukes put off, they said they could literally see their bones through their skin. And one guy said, talking to the interviewer, if the bomb were to blow up behind you, now staring at you, he said, I could see every bone in your body.
What kind of cancers do these men have today?
I don't know, they're all old dudes, so they're probably all like super young.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like literally holding a flashlight or something kind of similar, but just fully
But he said you do
transparent.
this and you would see your bones in your hands.
Tan line would be crazy.
Just
Think of like nuclear testing videos. We have a ton from like the 1900s. Why don't we have any new footage?
Because I think we don't really test them all much. I think something was passed where you're not allowed to necessarily set them off.
You have to test what you're building or testing.
Maybe you can test the components.
Yeah.
So just imagine
Scary.
you face a tea with ratatouille marinating in it. This has to be on a whole different level of diabolicalism. How did Lil Squeak even fit inside of the can to begin with? And it's like we can't go to the grocery store, we can't trust fast food, because of shit like this keep happening. Because at that point, you either have to sue them or call up your YNs and go bump down on the headquarters. And you could tell by the tea that the rat enhanced the flavor. Went from a sweet tea to a Master Shifu tea. Yeah, like the Ninja Turtles' daddy. And I just know that she knew that it tasted extra squeaky. And what makes this worse is this ain't the first time Lil Ratatouille has been found inside of a can. They even popping up in people's energy drink. You think you quench your thirst, instead you gulp a bunch of rat sweat? To me, that's a reasonable crash out. But I'm curious, y'all let me know what y'all would have did if y'all found a little squeaker inside of your drink in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. And remember, if you want to learn how you can turn your social media into printing you money just by posting videos, comment down below ATM. I'm gonna send it to you.
Be careful what you drink.
Oh, I didn't. But someone told me about it. So he had like a witch on stream, and he went to go visit her place, and they were doing a whole bunch of rituals and stuff. And he started getting really sketched out. I'm kind of scared. The theory was that people were saying that he felt as if she was taking something from him. Oh, no. Yeah, like spiritually, and it was affecting him in that moment. So what happened was they were in the middle of something, and then he started feeling something off.
Like, I need this thing for my stream. I'll be right back, okay?
And he looks at the camera, he goes, pause, hurry, mute, and then just walks away, and then just leave.
Mute.
They don't even say bye to the lady, nothing like that. Just get out of there. Because people are saying that she was trying to curse him or do some rituals that he felt were really, really wrong to him.
This robot is the first humanoid that never needs to stop working because it changes its own batteries autonomously. UV Tech Walker S2 weighs 95 pounds and can detect when its battery is running low, walk to a charging station, and swap its own battery pack in under 3 minutes without any human help. The robot uses both arms to remove the depleted battery from its upper back, place it in the charging dock, grab a fresh battery, and install it perfectly while continuing to operate on its backup power. This breakthrough eliminates the last major bottleneck requiring human intervention in robotic operations, enabling true 24/7 autonomous factory work without any downtime or human oversight. Chinese robotics companies are now competing directly with Tesla, Boston Dynamics, and other American firms by deploying robots that can maintain themselves indefinitely in industrial environments. Factories could operate completely autonomously with robots that work continuously, never get tired, never make mistakes, and never need human assistance. Walker S2 is already being tested in real factory environments where it performs complex tasks while managing its own power needs like a completely self-sufficient worker. This represents the transition from robots as tools that humans operate to robots as autonomous workers that manage themselves and their own operational requirements. When robots can work 24/7 without any human intervention whatsoever, what happens to the millions of factory and warehouse jobs that still require people?
The girl that was found decomposing in the front trunk of David's Tesla has finally been identified, and based on all the new details we just got, it seems that this is not going to end well for David. So for context, this girl's name is Celeste, and she was found in the front trunk of David's Tesla, and it turns out that Celeste was 15 years old. And this is where it makes me even more sicker to my stomach, because the remains that were found of Celeste were initially so unidentifiable. This is where it gets even more worse for her, because Celeste has been missing since April of 2024. Her Celeste mom's just told TMZ that her daughter had been dating a boyfriend named David and had mentioned getting a tattoo with him. As the tattoo that Celeste had on her finger was a tattoo that said shh, which is a tattoo that David also has. A reminder that David is 20 and Celeste is 15. And this is where it gets even more insaner, as seemingly David didn't even have this shish tattoo until a year ago. And remember, the night that the body was found in David's front, David went on stage in Minneapolis and seemingly did not directly address this, as he has allegedly been cooperative. And remember, this is all alleged and nothing has been confirmed yet. A lot of people are saying that after a 15-year-old with a matching tattoo of you found in your car is not a good look.
It's not a...
See, Chris, what do you guys think about the David situation, bro? That's crazy. It's a whole lot of information came out yesterday, man, and it wasn't looking good, bro. Can't believe Jason Wayne did a song with them, man. I mean, nobody knew, but that's just crazy.
As you might think. For years, Disney's been accused of hiding adult subliminal jokes in their movies. This one, boys, is actually true. Actual Disney animators have admitted that they slip subtle jokes in for the parents when creating these movies, as they know the kids won't get it or understand it anyway, but it just actually makes it a little bit more enjoyable for the parents who are watching it. For instance, the priest in The Little Mermaid looking just a little bit too happy. And one of the craziest ones you probably haven't seen before. In Zootopia, there's a Breaking Bad parodying reference. The sheep villains run a you-know-what lab, creating the blue stuff, and they're both named Walt and Jesse. So Disney do hide these things in their movie, but once you see them, you definitely can't unsee them. But this one most definitely is a truth.
Jersey just legalized compost made of human remains. So within the next 10 months in New Jersey, you'll be able to turn a loved one that passed away into compost. Now apparently this whole human to compost process takes about 45 days to complete, and it, quote, gently turns the body into nutrient-rich soil. Now this is achieved by placing a human into a vessel filled with organic materials, which is then sealed and attached to an HVAC system. Well, even though this all is new to New Jersey, it is not new to the US itself, as back in 2019, Washington became the first state to legalize this whole human composting process. And since then, a couple of other states like New York and now New Jersey have also followed suit. Now, after the process is done, you can decide if you want a little bit of the compost to spread sort of similar to ashes, or if you want a lot so you can, like, plant a plant with it. Note to self, remind me not to eat any crops from New Jersey or New York. But the whole reason this exists is to sort of be an alternative to cemeteries, since a lot of them are getting overcrowded. New Jersey is the 14th state to legalize this practice since it started all the way back in 2019.
When I was a child, I loved playing the Mario Brothers. But now that I'm older, I understand why I love playing this video game. I used to think it was all fun and games, but now I'm more mature. I understand they was laughing at us. Once you start studying spirituality, you will understand that the goddess Sophia created everything. The name Sophia means wisdom. When you play the Mario Brothers, you see Princess Toadstool. She represents Sophia, the goddess. King Cooper is the one that stole the goddess. King Cooper represents the Dracolians or the reptilians. It's a lot of conspiracies that's going around saying that alien reptilians control this world. Well, King Cooper represents reptilians, and the politicians may be reptilians. In order to save the princess or the goddess, you have to beat 8 castles. The 8 castles is connected to the 8 phases of the moon. King Cooper or the reptilian had 7 children. He made 8. The 8 phases of the moon represents the 8 castles. Reptiles is known to be cold-blooded creatures. The moon is known to be ice cold because the reptilians live there. When you play this game, you can take mushrooms and it make you stronger. In our reality, you take magic mushrooms and it tap you into the spiritual world. When you turn the game on, you start at world 1 with 5 lives. 5 lives represents reincarnation. You only have 5 chances to get it right. This video is about to get a little dark. Stay with me. If you ever play this video game, you notice every time Mario go down the pipe, he is going to a different world. That world represents different dimensions. If you want to travel to different realities.
So this is what they mean by New York not being a real place, because not only do you have cars dropping into massive sinkholes, but New York also experienced some type of crazy hailstorm yesterday as well too, y'all. Look at this, y'all. That's crazy. Right after the car fell into that pothole, New York was like, here, let me fill that pothole with some ice. And look at this, y'all. The heavy wind, rain, and ice was really coming down at one point in time. Look at this deck over here, y'all. It looked like little salt pebbles, doesn't it? Right? The earth is being salted right now, man. The season is here. That's crazy. It seems that New York is definitely doing its part out in the Matrix. This hailstorm caused some significant damage to some cars. New York has also been getting tornado warnings. This wasn't a tornado that would knock down the tree, but this hailstorm was accompanied with heavy winds, and it was knocking down trees onto the ground. Ice is everywhere, y'all. I told y'all, man. Ice is in the form of government, and you know this over here, that ice is working overtime all over the planet, y'all. In the form of government, you know, hot as hell, you know, and then you get ice as hell. Ice as hell as well too. Vanilla ice, baby. The shit is here. Let's get it. Peace out.
Okay.
The happiest man on death row, and his story will make you cry. In 1936, a 23-year-old man was arrested for sleeping in an illegal area. But Joe was a mentally disabled homeless man, and he really didn't know what was going on. So he went with the officers anyway. But what Joe didn't know is that those officers are about to change his life forever. 12 days earlier, 2 twin girls were actually murdered by a guy with a hatchet. And since the officers had no idea who it was, they decided to pin the attack on Joe. And since Joe was mentally challenged, they made him confess to the crimes without actually knowing what he did. And the victims even said that Joe looked nothing like the man. But Joe ended up taking the fall for the crime that he didn't even commit. But on death row, Joe was extremely happy, and every single person in there loved him. And right here you can see him giving away his trains right before he was executed. Joe requested ice cream for his last meal, and his last words were, "No, Joe will not die."
That is messed up, man. I wonder how many cases the history, man, somebody had to just take the fall because law enforcement, something like that, they couldn't do their job, so they just pinned it on him. That's a messed up story, Seekers.
Crazy facts about cigarettes. 1 cigarette can reduce your lifespan up to 11 minutes. Out of 10 smokers, 9 started before age 18. A smoker's life expectancy is 10 years less than a non-smoker. When a cigarette is burned, 7,000 chemicals are activated. Nauru has the highest smoking rate at 52%.
If you see this in the ocean, walk away immediately. This is a whirlpool in the ocean, and they are one of the most scariest things that can happen in the ocean. Whirlpools are basically like inverse tornadoes, and they will suck you up in less than 17 seconds. Why do they happen? Well, whirlpools form when the currents of the ocean collide in opposite directions. The force of the 2 currents spiral down into the ocean, which forms the whirlpool. Here is a demonstration of what happens inside a whirlpool. As you can see, the toilet paper is rapidly pulled into the water from the whirlpool. If you're in a boat in the ocean and you see a large-scale whirlpool, it could pull your boat in and flip it over, and you will be pulled under the water where you will be stuck and likely drown. Although we think of whirlpools mostly being in the ocean, they can appear in any body of water. So next time you're out in water, be on the lookout for one of these, or it could cost you your life.
Okay. Updating our whirlpool knowledge.
Did you know that they might have just found one of the gates to hell? This is the deepest man-made hole on the planet. It goes 7.5 miles down, and it took 19 years to dig. And many strange things have been discovered during the dig. But the craziest thing was when they lowered a microphone down the hole, and they called this on audio. the screams of the dead to be heard. And what's super interesting about this video is so many people who have visions of hell say that they get taken into...
The Words of Dying, Part 1. By number of people. Dog attack 1 in 86,781. Drowning 1 in 1,128. Falling over 1 in 106. Preventable causes of death 1 in 24. Cancer 1 in 7.
Man. That story about that hole, bro. We gotta be careful, man. It seems like it was deliberate. Like, why did they keep going deeper and deeper, man? We heard the audio too, so you just can't dismiss it. Something going on down there.
Creepiest urban legend from each country. Canada. Wendigo.
Oh.
England. Bloody Mary.
Did you know
That
that
makes
Cardi
sense.
B said that her music activates demons? Watch this.
I didn't want her to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill song, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons.
If you believe Jesus is more powerful than the devil, then type Jesus is Lord in the comments and subscribe for more. And watch the video that I pinned about Billie Eilish showing her demon. Things are almost...
Hey man, we've been watching these clips together for a minute, so we know that some things be going down in the music industry, and this, I guess, that Hollywood side entertainment, man. So we know some things be going on, but she said it, bro. That they activating demons. I'm telling you, man, we gotta be careful what we listening to, seekers. We never know what type of energy we allowing into our lives. That don't even shock me no more, man.
What no humans can do, I'm not sure, and if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your thumb back onto your hand like that. Only 1% of humans can actually do this.
I can't do
Try
it.
this video if you can do it.
North Korea are actually doing it. Today, they have officially begun blowing up all roads and railways connecting them to South Korea. And this really marks a pretty substantial turning point, because for the longest time, reunification of the two countries has always been the stated goal for Kim Jong-un. But this year, everything changed. He changed the constitution to designate them as principal enemy. We obviously had their trash balloon wars. We saw that they started building a wall by the border. And now they're literally blowing up all inter-Korean roads and railways to completely separate the two countries.
Gruesome facts you didn't know.
That's insane.
In the year 2000, the Trapholt Museum in Denmark featured an art piece titled Helena and El Pescador. The art piece featured 10 functional blenders filled with goldfish, giving the visitors the gruesome option of turning them on. It was a battle of the viewer's own conscience, and at least one man turned on a blender, killing 2 of the fish. In 2007, a movie theater in the US accidentally screened The Hills Have Eyes 2 instead of The Last Mimsy. The opening scene horrifically shows a naked chained-up woman giving birth to a deformed baby. Children were traumatized and parents were offered free tickets as compensation. The Aldgate Pump in London was a long-time public watering hole that tapped into London's underground streams since the 1200s. In 1860, the water was noted as being bright, sparkling, and with a fine taste. Turned out that the taste was due to the underground stream running through several graveyards. The water had been collecting decaying organic matter and calcium from the bones of the dead. This resulted in the deaths of hundreds of people.
That story about the theaters playing that
3
scary
animals
movie.
you are glad are extinct,
Crazy.
and the last one, it will shock you. Number 1, the Titanoba. This massive snake gets up to 50 feet long and can weigh up to 2,500 pounds. During its time, it was the apex predator, and it would strangle every single one of the animals to death. Number 2, the Deinosuchus. This mega crocodile can weigh up to 10,000 pounds, and it can get up to 39 feet long. T-Rex bones were found with bite marks from this animal, meaning often they would battle it out. But before I tell you the most terrifying one, if you want to get paid just for walking, I got you. Because this app pays you for every step you take, and I've already earned 100 today. So press right here and start earning. Number 3 is the Ratzilla. Based on the fossils that were found, they could get up to 10 feet long, and some of them were about the size of a bowl. and their teeth were up to 1 foot long. Can you imagine if one of these suckers bit you? Thankfully, all these animals went extinct a long time ago, but they're all super terrifying, so I'm happy.
Be thankful, man, for evolution sometimes, because those animals.
Fun fact. In 2015, the US federal government seized around $5 billion in assets from citizens, and in that same year, criminals only stole around $3.5 billion in assets. The US federal government also seized more assets in 2014 and 2019 than criminals stole. This is due to the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act, which was meant to break up the flow of cash and assets to drug cartels, but has essentially given the police a license to steal. It says if the police believe assets in your possession, whether it be cash, real estate, cars, or an iPad, was involved in or was acquired through criminal activity, they have the right to seize it, and then you need to prove to them that you got it legally. The craziest part is they don't even have to charge you with a crime to take your stuff. In 2021, a drug-sniffing dog at a Dallas airport found $100,000 in cash in a woman's suitcase, and the police seized the cash, but didn't charge the woman with any crime, saying she could get it back in court. But this was a rare case. Most cash seizures are under $1,000, but the cost to fight a seizure in court is usually much higher.
Man, so they just run it around. Like, imagine if you had, like, that money legally, you take it out the bank, but, like, they took it anyway, then you have to prove to them in court. That's crazy, man, how they freaking took away all that damn money, bro. Billions of dollars, man. The system, man. It's up. It's a ongoing battle. That's an edit, man. Call them out like we see them. I see you guys calling out the edits in the comments down below too. I appreciate that as well. We're getting better at spotting them out each and every single video. I feel like we're at the expert level.
This is a threat to national security. This otter's a fugitive of the law for the crime of boardjacking surfers in the ocean and then using them as chew toys. See, you're laughing. You're laughing now. Because I said otters and you think it's cute, but imagine getting pressed by a predatory plush toy with a vice grip for a mouth. And how do we even get here? With everything I've said, sea otters are naturally afraid of people who go out of their way to avoid us. So the story goes, an otter named 723 was found abandoned and orphaned, but was rescued, rehabilitated, and released back into the wild. Here's the problem though, pretty privilege. As in, people kept feeding 723 repeatedly to the point where the same otter that should have been people shy was now going up to people looking for handouts. Eventually 723 was recaptured, and this time they found that people weren't the only ones interested in her, because she was pregnant and she would give birth to daughter 841. But this time the caretakers learned, basically dressing like they just raided Darth Vader's closet, poncho masks and all. Also, 841 wouldn't lose her fear of humans. It didn't work. Literally less than a year after being released, there were reports of an otter going up to surfers and climbing on surfboards. That's right, it was someone's disobedient ass daughter. And 841 would attack surfboards like they owed her money. Like, you see that bite? That's a bite of malice. Remember, this is the same animal that can bite through a clam. 841 was a menace in 2023, but eventually the surfboard assault stopped until she popped out again this year, this time with a hellspawn of her own. Yep, she has a kid, meaning this surfboard beef's guaranteed another generation. Especially since there have been several attempts to capture her, but there's nothing about an outlaw otter that's easy. She's on the run and swim. But yeah, when people tell you not to feed wild animals, this is exactly why. I swear y'all play house with a wild animal, but then be Pikachu in the face when they start wilding. Also, and I'm telling y'all right now, she bites one person, she's getting put on her shirt expeditiously. Moral of the story, the worst thing a wild animal can do is lose its fear of humans. That in Santa Cruz is harboring a weapon of otter destruction.
You have to
That's
hear
crazy,
this.
man. Otter attack.
Lives inside of a cemetery. Actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside.
Oh my gosh.
Soon after, he heard sirens. And
I decided to step out to see what was happening. I walked through the graveyard like a dumbass.
Cars,
Damn it.
firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the
I wish he
cemetery
would attack me
to
in
get a
this
better
shit.
view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between two cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene.
You got it closer to exactly what I said to the other guy, but you left out the part where I scared the cop.
But then, all of the sudden,
and when I jumped in bed with Amber,
pulled
the covers up over my head
to see what it was. And standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless, humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat and he abruptly beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature behind him, but he never
sort of dumbass.
He got home and immediately locked the doors.
What would you do in this situation?
Is the
Okay, so
Grammy
this
Peru?
person was in a hotel room one night with their door locked, keep in mind. And this random person was trying to break into their room using this tool that is specifically designed to break into people's rooms. And this is why you should always put a towel on your door handle. I promise you, it could save your life. Here's the video.
reason why I don't use
I gotta try to find it.
restroom.
No public bathrooms could be hiding a deadly secret in plain sight. Recently, investigators in California discovered a shocking trend. People getting seriously ill or worse after using public restroom toilet paper. The reason drug users are reportedly going into these bathrooms, using needles and then cleaning them off by sticking them into the sides of the toilet paper rolls. This contaminates the toilet paper with blood, drug residue, and other harmful substances, all hidden from view when unsuspecting people grab the toilet paper. They're unknowingly exposed to the dangerous contaminants. As the puncture marks are often concealed by the toilet paper casing, specialists now recommend using toilet seat covers instead of the provided toilet paper in public restrooms for safety. The punctures are subtle often on the side, making them impossible to see at a glance. It's a hidden hazard no one expects.
Top 5 of the skip.
That has to be one of the most scariest things, man, that can happen. Like, imagine you just trying to use the bathroom and you come back home sick or something like that. You don't know what's going on because somebody stuck a needle in the side of the toilet paper. Man, now I'm buying toilet freaking covers after this video, bro. So what I bought, I'm ready, man. That ain't happening to me. Be careful out there.
I bet you can't make it to the end of the video. The last one is scary. Number 5. 3 friends were playing guitar and singing in their room. You know, just having a good time. When something scary appears in the balcony door window. You can see a white figure appear quickly and disappear once the camera pans back.
What do you say?
Hey, maybe you just like the music. Wanted to do a little dance. Get a little boogie. Get it? Boogie, boo. Please don't unfollow me. Before we get to the next one, can you hit that like button for me? If you get 100,000 hearts, I'll do a part 3. Number 4. A man wakes up to hearing strange noises in his house. When he goes to turn on the lights to see what it is, they seem to not be working. Watch what he sees next.
What the?
Tired of these ghosts messing with electricity when they do not pay bills. Do you know how much
about
the electric bill is right now? Pay up or get out. Okay, check this out. You're alone in the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel when this happens.
What the hell is that? Somebody's trying to come in the damn room.
What's your next move? Let me know down below. Number 3. On the 30th of April, 2022 at 2 a.m., a security camera captured this. Some believe it's a creature dragging a bag, while others believe it's someone walking backwards. A short while after, the security camera catches this. It's the same figure. What do you think this creature is? Number 2. The little girl is in the kitchen alone, and it looks like she's talking to someone. The home security camera captures this.
It's like fighting or something?
So now they're not paying bills and trying to take our food? This is the last straw. Hello, Ghostbusters. A woman and her child is seeing something in the window, but every time she goes to open it, nothing appears to be there. Watch what happens next. Yeah, it got in the house, and they didn't even realize. Should I do a part 3?
They didn't see, that person didn't feel that freaking like thing behind them. I don't know, the last one got me questioning it. It was cap or real. Cause I can feel what somebody's like behind me. I don't even feel somebody's presence.
On the wall where he had just covered up.
Okay, he covered up the wall.
Scariest mythical creatures in the world. From Japan. Tik Tik.
Tik Tik.
From Puerto Rico. Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. I thought they originated from here.
From the ocean.
Mermaid.
CTHULU.
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I've been seeing a couple of videos on that.
From Arizona. Skinwalker.
You know, you've seen a couple of Skinwalker clips.
From the ocean. Mermaid.
I called it. I knew that had to be on one of them, man.
From Canada. Wendigo.
Interesting.
The name of the game is the Other Mother. You should win this game, no one will ever lie to you again. At least they can't. Play this game, go in front of your mirror with a lit candle. On the mirror, Other Mother. After doing this, cover your eyes, do not look in the mirror, because now you've summoned the Other Mother, also known as Mother May I. We'll ask you to do 5 things, but before you do it, make sure you say Mother May I. She'll comb your hair, she'll ask you to brush your teeth. She'll then tell you to have dinner with her. And then she'll tell you to go to bed. Whenever she asks you to do any of these, make sure you say Mother May I before you do it. So I go live and play this game, heart this video, follow my account.
I never played any of those games. You ain't getting me.
Everyone is getting crazy after people communicate in a dream for the first time ever.
What?
A company called REM Space has designed this technology to allow you to communicate during a dream. Now, 2 people were both put into a lucid dream by scientists, and they were able to communicate fully inside this dream. But how? So both of the people were in bed at their own homes, and they were both synced up to this crazy tech this company has. Now, when one of them went to sleep and entered the lucid dream, the computer generated a word and then put the other person into a lucid dream. They both then woke up, they confirmed the same word, of course, meaning that the first person had communicated that word to the other person because there's no other way they would have known it, showing, of course, that you can communicate during a dream. Now, of course, this is only early days with this technology, but the fact that this was possible is crazy. And the people who developed it said this is going to open a whole new gateway of businesses and companies who will be able to sell things for the dream world, probably including games, multiplayer games and stuff. Like, honestly, it's mental. We're one step closer. This is going to get a lot crazier. I'll keep you updated.
This film might have one
I don't
of the
think
most
that's a good idea.
crazy endings you'll see throughout the entire year. What? So I'm fresh out of Smile 2, one of the most highly anticipated sequels of the entire year, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I'm not the biggest fan of Smile 1. You got me. I liked it conceptually, you know, with the whole crazy smiling demon, but it was a little too heavily reliant on jump scares like the 2018 Cavs roster with LeBron. The original nearly made my heart explode, so when I came to this I was very cautious, and I'm happy to say I think it's better than the first for me. I think I've fallen in love with the concept of having these horror movies be in concerts and having these fake pop stars make original songs, because I'm eating that shit up. I got the Sky Riley EP playing in my car on the way home. It makes for such intriguing circumstances we can put our characters through, especially since our main character is a pop star. She has the whole public eye viewing her constantly, and this demon is messing with her head, so she's seeing smiles constantly. It's perfect. Now, if there's one thing that these films entail, you're going to get a stellar lead performance. Naomi Scott, I've been with you since Lemonade Mountain. I knew you were a superstar then.
That's an OG.
You are a superstar now. No exaggeration, Naomi Scott is brilliant in this film. Like, oh my god. The way we just watch her mentally deteriorate and become literally insane because of this smiling demon, like, I was just in awe. As far as the scares, it's just like its predecessor. Prepare your heart. You're going to hear a lot of like it's going to get that's on me. I should have done that. That's on me. But you get my point. There were times where I was actively praying, please stop doing the same set piece over and over with someone going into a room. It gets really silent, and then you just hear a loud jolt of noise. Like, we could do better. And they do. There are points where there's really cool body horror, Lovecraftian horror, psychological, mental gymnastics going on. Like, it was cool stuff when they did that. And I think that same sentiment applies to the original, where the last 15 minutes is probably the best part of the film because it is so insane bonkers stuff. And when it does that stuff in this one, it's just great. Since I did mention psychological horror, I should explain that this film plays a lot more tricks on the main character's mind than the first one. There's times where you have no clue what is real, and it might be a dream sequence or something, and that can be a bit of a cop-out, especially when you get to the second half of this film, but I'll allow it, mainly due to the fact that the ending of this film is insane.
Like I leaned forward in my seat when I watched that on the screen. I was like, okay, I rate it. I should say, I don't know if they use this concept to its fullest potential as far as this pop star that has so many eyes on her, right? And she has this curse. And I felt like we could have gotten even more creative with the scares rather than just going to these dark, empty rooms of her house and getting jump scared. We could have, like, used more social media. She has so many eyes on her. I'm just really anti-jump scare. Like, you're going to make my heart palpitate. And I'm blaming you. It's fun, though. I enjoy it. I think if you're a fan of the first, you're probably going to love this one. And Naomi Scott, OG since Lemonade Mouth. I love you.
This is how people...
Shout out Brandy in the comments down below. She said she watched the, I think, first one. She said it was really good, but you guys know I don't really watch scary movies like that. But from what I'm hearing, people saying it was a good movie.
Thought our world would be 100 years ago. Okay, firstly, people 100 years ago predicted that we would have roofs over our cities to help protect us from weather. And talking about weather, they also thought that we would have weather control machines that would push the storm clouds away. This isn't a bad idea, but wouldn't the storm clouds just go into another city? Next, this is bizarre. People really thought we would be fishing from the other way around. Now, this would be pretty cool. By 2021, people predicted that we would have space elevators that would make space travel cheap and easy. Moving on, instead of car taxis, people 100 years ago thought we would have flying taxis that would help us get to our destinations. If that wasn't wild enough, they thought we would be walking on water with help from our own individual air balloons. Finally, people thought in today's time that we would be able to transport almost whole cities just by using trains.
I mean, there was some of the stuff, but some of the stuff they was nailing.
True horrifying story.
Was that it?
The birth of Satan, Iblis. In other sacred texts, he's known as Lucifer. Non-Muslims refer to him as a fallen angel, but Muslims believe that he was never an angel. Angels are made from nur. Iblis was made from fire. Therefore, he is a jinn. He is the biggest jinn, the strongest jinn. And God had so much love for Iblis that he lifted him and he was valued amongst the angels. And then Adam was created, the first human being. Iblis was jealous. God ordered all beings to do sajda for Adam. Out of all beings, Iblis was the only one that refused. And he said, I was made from fire. This being was made from dirt. I will prove to you that Bani Adam is not the righteous being. Adam, Eve, Iblis, and the angels all lived in paradise. Everyone was banned to eat fruit from a specific tree. Iblis manipulated Adam and Eve and they ate from that tree. They had to face consequences, so they were all kicked out of heaven. And that is why people call Iblis a fallen angel. He was never an angel. Iblis asked God if he can have an eternal life, so he can prove that humans are sinners. And that's his task. This is what he lives by. This is the birth of Satan. He gathered the shaitans, and now he has an army. He is the leader of all demons, and he will be the only being on earth that dies last. Iblis today sits on a throne. Nobody knows where he's located. However, in an authentic hadith sahih, the Prophet said that his throne is on water. So we don't know where, but we do know that he's somewhere far in the ocean. There's a short story of a French Arab woman that was possessed by a very powerful jinn for many years. The toughest sheikhs carried exorcisms to treat this woman. But before they kicked the demon out, the sheikhs wanted to ask a few questions. They asked the jinn, where is Iblis located? Without a hesitation, the jinn responds, we visit Iblis in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Some scientists have said, but still did not prove, that the Bermuda Triangle has a magnetic field that caused all these ships and planes to disappear. Now that's just a theory. Now legitimately speaking, a demon has spoken, and he exposed the location of where his leader possibly stays. But could it be Iblis? It is far beyond a question mark. It is in fact a section in the ocean that will kill you if entered.
Stay away from the Bermuda Triangle, man. I remember Mr. Beast did a video surviving there. I don't know how the heck he did that. Brave soul. Dressing up as a clown. Pennywise? What the fuck? look a little too accurate, bro. Man, you can't walk. Get somebody to have a heart attack, bro.
Jokes backfired big time. In 2006, the high-end water Fiji ran an ad campaign jokingly saying the label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland. Well, the city of Cleveland, Ohio saw this and were offended because what did they ever do to deserve this? So rightfully, the city of Cleveland tested their tap water and found that it was actually cleaner and tastier than Fiji water. Next, several years ago, a California man jokingly got a personalized license plate that read no, and thought it would trick the database so whenever he got a ticket, it would register as no, meaning nothing. Well, the problem with that is, anytime there was an error on anyone else's license plate, they assigned it to him. He got $12,000 in fines.
Here's 5 things our parents lied to us about. Cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This isn't true. The noise is caused by negative pressure temporarily pulling nitrogen gas into the joint. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is not true. It will be excreted within a few days. Sitting too close to the TV will hurt your eyes. This is actually a very popular misconception. A long-term extensive study has shown that myopia in children has nothing to do with this. If you keep going cross-eyed, you'll get stuck like that forever. This is simply false. Your hair will grow faster the more often you cut it. This isn't true. There are a number of factors affecting it, such as age, hormones, and even the time of year.
So my whole childhood was a lie?
Did you know these facts? The Apollo 11 astronauts were not able to get life insurance, so instead they signed hundreds of autographs as their own insurance for their families in case of tragedy. The first business Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs created together was an illegal device to make long-distance calling easier by tricking the phone companies. All of the paint on the Eiffel Tower weighs the same amount as 10 elephants, and it gets repainted every 7 years without closing to the public. There's a company in Japan who was giving 6 extra vacation days a year to employees who didn't smoke, and it actually helped push a lot of the employees to stop smoking. Roughly 67% of the earth is under cloud cover at any given time. Ancient Babylonians did math in base 60 instead of base 10, which is why we have 60 seconds and 360 degrees for a circle. Ruth Brown was a 1950s R&B superstar that had to work low-paying jobs while she was famous because the record label was withholding her earnings.
Here is a quick list
Scummy.
of documentaries to watch for the month of January if you haven't already. First, we have The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, the final chapter. This documentary explores the controversy of Natalia's medical condition and adoption. Natalia was born with a rare dwarfism condition, and when she was adopted, they ended up abandoning her because they claimed that she lied about her age and she was manipulating them. Next, we have an update on our family. Vlogger couple Micah and James Stauffer made content based on their child who was adopted from China. He was on the autism spectrum but later gave him up. This scandal touches on the unregulated family vlogging industry. Next, we have The Bunker. This documentary details Isabel Erickson's abduction by a doctor who she was going on a date with. Next thing she knows, she is being held captive in a cramped, windowless room. In this 3-part series, Isabel talks about what she endured and how she escaped. Last but not least, we have Scamanda. This true crime documentary talks about blogger Amanda Riley, who was pretending to be dealing with cancer. She deceived people and nearly collected $100,000 to allegedly help with her hospital bills.
The weirdest houses
Should
ever.
I check those out?
You really gotta love music to make your house look like this. I'm trying to think of how to describe this house. It looks like a bathroom. Does that make sense? Totally normal house except for the giant shark that crashed into the roof. This must be a ghost house. I don't know why, but I really don't like how it looks. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to erase anything from your photos. Try it out by pressing the button on my profile, then press erase and edit like a pro. And finally, wait, is that Squidward? Interesting design choice.
Just a quick question. Would any of you guys live in any of those houses? That would be a no from me. I don't think so. Especially that Squidward one, man. Creep me the hell out. I don't know what we go through those designers' ideas, man. Especially one house was just see-through. Like, what? That ain't a house. I don't know what you would call that. You know what this is, man.
Child marriage used to be legal in America, and the story of this marriage is one of the most disturbing things I've ever read about. This is 9-year-old Eunice Winstead, and this is her legal husband at the time, Charlie Johns. So on January 19th, 1937, Eunice, who was 9 years old at the time, left her mother's house. On that morning, she told her parents that she was going out to buy herself a new doll. But instead, the 9-year-old was headed to the courthouse to meet her 22-year-old future husband, Charlie Johns. So at the time of this affair, there was no age limit on marriage in Tennessee. I mean, technically, someone could have married an adult and a baby if they paid off the minister and got everything to go through properly. And so on that day, 22-year-old Charlie offered a local Baptist preacher named Walter $1, which equates to around $21 today. And the preacher accepted the offer, came into the church, and married the 9-year-old to the 22-year-old. I mean, obviously, words cannot possibly describe how disturbing images like these are. Now, at first, both Charlie and Eunice's parents disapproved of the marriage, but after some thought, they eventually approved the marriage, and they just allowed them to live together and be married. Now, sadly, Eunice dropped out of school at the age of 9 after her husband, Charlie, pulled her out, and she began giving birth to their children at age 15. They'd eventually have 8 children together. I just cannot believe that shit like this used to happen in America. Comment your thoughts on this below.
A girl woke up
That's
bruised
insane.
every morning, so her parents set up a security camera, and what they found will shock you. A young girl was going to sleep every night and waking up the next morning with bruises all over her body. At first, this was only happening occasionally, and the bruises were so small that they were barely noticeable. But over time, the bruises seemed to get a lot worse and were happening way more frequently. Her parents ended up sending her to a special summer camp where she had to wear shorts every day. When the staff finally noticed the bruises on her leg, they did the right thing and reported it to the authorities. After the staff contacted her parents, they decided to make a doctor's appointment to get the bruises checked out. The doctors ran many tests but didn't end up finding anything, so they sent her and her parents on their way home. Feeling extremely frustrated, her parents set up a security camera in her room to find out what was going on. The next morning, her parents watched the footage and were shocked by what they saw. Hit the plus for part 2.
Damn, I gotta find that, bro. What the hell happened?
Crazy things happening in the world right now. After a woman took a DNA test for funsies, police used it to charge her grandmother with murder in a cold case. A woman divorced her husband in order to be with Brad Pitt, only to find out that it was an AI scam. A Philadelphia man who was awarded more than $4 million for an overturned murder conviction ended up pleading guilty in a case where he ended a man's life over $1,200. TSA stopped more than 6,000 weapons at airport security in 2024, and 94% of them were loaded. A Texas woman has set the record for donating more than 2,000 liters of her breast milk. The CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, has let the world know that Stevie Wonder demoed the Apple Vision Pro. A man disrupted a TV interview where a woman was speaking on her feelings of being uncomfortable in public places, and he refused to leave. The city of Bend, Oregon recently ordered its citizens to stop putting googly eyes on statues.
Here's what would happen if you drank only water for 20 days. The first 2 days would be the worst. You'd feel incredibly hungry, your energy levels would drop, and your mood would be intolerable. In days 3 to 7, a process of ketosis would occur, in which your body breaks down fat it has stored, therefore making you lose weight. You'd also feel less hungry and more energetic. However, you would still get bad headaches and have bad night's sleep. In days 8 to 14, you would experience clarity of mind, and you'd feel happy and energetic. Very few people reach days 15 to 20 of water fasting, so you'd feel very proud. You'd feel light and active. However, you'd be ready to eat some solid food again. Comment if you try water fasting.
Have any of you guys tried the water fast before? I haven't.
This Krampus or Krampus animatronic is one of the creepiest things I have ever seen. They sell it at Spirit Halloween during Halloween time, but also at Spirit Christmas, which I'm still trying to find one of those. How absolutely massive it is in comparison to a human. And there's even versions of it holding a little animatronic child that's like freaking out. I also would be freaking out around this thing. Absolutely not. The story of Krampus or Krampus, depending on how you pronounce it, comes from like Austria, Europe, Germany. Basically, it's to threaten bad little kids and saying like, oh, Krampus is gonna get you. He's supposed to be Saint Nick, Santa Claus, but also not. I'm still trying to figure that out. I've been doing a lot of research about him because honestly he fascinates me. Also, the Krampus movie that came out a few years ago is honestly a really, really good movie, and you should probably watch it this holiday season if you like horror movies. But yeah, watch these videos of the animatronic in action and let me know how you're feeling, and if you would want this in your house for the low price of $350 US.
That ain't low price nowadays, baby. Damn, it kind of looks realistic. Like, imagine walking down the street seeing that. What would your reaction be? Y'all, that was scared. That definitely some kids, man. That's pure nightmare fuel for them. You know what this is.
People who are 1 in a million. This is Gary Turner, but he's better known as the Elastic Man. He has a medical condition that causes his skin to be extremely stretchy.
Mr. Fantastic.
Stretch the skin from his neck over his mouth. And this man came into the hospital with severe chest pain. And doctors were shocked when they discovered this man had 2 hearts. Next up, we have Paul Carrison, the real-life Papa Smurf. To fix his skin condition, he would drink silver and rub it on his skin every day, which caused him to turn irreversibly blue.
If you're scared of snakes, this video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called a titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes. Here's why you should always make sure you lock your doors. In 2007, a girl in California was living just beside the local prison. One night, as she was about to go to sleep, she heard the door open downstairs and assumed it was her roommate. So she looked down the stairs and said hi, with no response. She found it a bit odd, but then out of the shadow came this huge man that she did not recognize at all. Terrified, she quickly ran upstairs into her crawl space and tucked herself in there for a few hours. She could hear this man flipping furniture and running all around her house downstairs. After a few hours, when she opened up the crawl space and grabbed her phone off her nightstand table, she dialed 911 and described the intruder to the cops. When the cops heard this description, they said, "Go back into your crawl space and stay there." It turns out a 6'11" man from the prison next door had escaped and broken into her house.
Would you guys even would you guys even want to live next to a prison? No. I'm gonna do shit out, man. As soon as if I even found out I was next to prison, I ain't gonna lie, I'm out, man. Cause exactly what would happen if somebody breaks out, you're gonna be the first house man they're gonna go to. No, that ain't happening to me.
Here's some news that will give you hope. A United pilot bought 30 pizzas for everyone on his flight that was delayed for multiple hours and made sure that everyone had a slice before he had his own. A man who found himself on an empty airplane ended up taking a photo of himself in every single seat and photoshopping it together. A 25-year-old pizza delivery driver ran into a burning house to save 4 children who ended up telling him there might be one more inside. The moment after he jumped out of a window with the final child was caught on a body cam. Former billionaire Chuck Feeney donated his over $8 billion of net worth to charities and spent his remaining days in a rented apartment in San Francisco with no assets under his name. These photos show a before and after just 6 weeks after getting a liver transplant. A grocery store employee found $12,000 in a grocery cart in the parking lot and returned it to the owner of the money. Here's a video of a kind dog allowing a starving kitten to eat from his food.
Imagine opening the front door to someone's decapitated
There's goodness everywhere.
On June 10th of
Just gotta find it.
2017, someone's decapitated head was found on the front steps of a White House in Jackson, Mississippi. Around 9:19 a.m., police were alerted, and one of the first officers who was at the scene recognized this as his own cousin, 30-year-old Jeremy Jerome Jackson. Later that day, around 4 p.m., Jeremy's burnt body was found less than a mile away from that home. Jeremy was one of 9 siblings, and he lived with his brother Johnny. He had 3 children and was a business management student. Just the day before Jeremy was seen alive, he had asked his brother Corey if he could give him a haircut and a ride to a job interview at a Mexican restaurant, and he was very excited when he got that job offer. Later that day, Jeremy was cutting the grass and told his brother Johnny that he was going to a friend's house but never returned. His brother stated that when Jeremy left to go to that friend's house, he didn't seem worried or paranoid like something was going to happen. He seemed perfectly fine. The house where Jeremy's head was found on the front steps had no connection with him or his family. It was picked at completely random. An autopsy was done and revealed that he had suffered a non-fatal gunshot wound to his leg, and when he was decapitated, he was still alive. One of Jeremy's brothers developed paranoia following his murder, and he felt like he was being watched, or maybe he was going to be the next victim since they had never found the killer. To this day, no one has found the person responsible for doing this to Jeremy.
2025, it just got even crazier, part 7. Firstly, from an insider leak, the PlayStation 6 will most likely launch in late 2027. The fact that we're talking about the PlayStation 6 right now makes me feel super old. However, experts claim when the drop does happen, the PlayStation 6 will likely be within the $600 to $800 range. Next, New York City just achieved something that you probably weren't expecting, because for the first time in 30 years, the city went 5 days without a reported shooting victim. Unfortunately, just 4 minutes after they announced this, the streak was broken. Finally, by large numbers, Gen Z and millennials are choosing pets over children and say that having a baby is just too expensive, while at the same time, Gen Z is spending more on their pets than any other generation.
Abandoned dark rides frankly need to be illegal. This is an abandoned Stitch animatronic that was in Stitch's Great Escape, and yeah, it's still there. So Stitch's Great Escape was at Disney World, and it was so universally disliked as an attraction that they just completely closed it when COVID happened, and they just never opened it back up. Apparently there was a part where Stitch would burp, and there was like smell-o-vision that would go through, and you could smell Stitch's burp. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but apparently it smelled disgusting. So yeah, they closed it, and all of the animatronics are just de-skinned and rotting away, still in the building. This cute little alien in this tube now looks like Squirrel from Ice Age for some reason. This creepy robot looks like this. This is nightmare fuel. I'm going to show you a video of the ride when it was functioning, which it wasn't really a ride, but the attraction when it was functioning. Just imagine it completely decommissioned and Stitch without skin and performing the way he does in this video. Nightmare fuel. To think that it's still in the building somewhere. Just tear it down already.
They want to save their money. I don't know why they don't take down their freaking abandoned parks. Imagine that de-skin, yeah, she's right. And if a kid sees that, it's nightmare fuel for them.
These animals look exactly like celebrities. This giraffe looks exactly like Miley Cyrus, and they even have the tongue out. And here's Nicki Minaj if she was a cat. Yep, that resembles Donald Trump perfectly. And this alpaca totally looks like Taylor Lautner. Mr. Bean totally looks like the owl. I mean, look at the eyes. Okay, these two are practically twins. And yep, that's William H. Macy if he was a dog.
Since we read everybody in order, bruh, look at India. Look at how small India is. This should be the African Ocean. That's all I gotta say.
Hello, my friend. Why is such a big ocean named after the Indian subcontinent? Well, I'd say it's because of the region's central position and major historical influence. India's location at the northern edge of the ocean, pushing out like a wedge, made it a crossroad for trade routes connecting Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. Since ancient times, traders, sailors, and merchants relied on predictable monsoon winds to travel across the Indian Ocean. Historically, Indian ports were vital hubs where goods like spices, textiles, and gemstones were traded. Religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism also spread across the ocean from India to other regions, influencing cultures far beyond its shores. Now, the subcontinent's dominance in trade and religion helped define the identity of the Indian Ocean as a connected world of commerce and shared ideas. The name Indian Ocean became common as European explorers in the 16th century recognized the influence India had over the region's economy and history.
I think that's came from, you know, Trump's naming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. I don't know. You know how many freaking textbooks probably gonna have to be changed, man, all across America now because of the name change? What do you guys think about that? He's changing that names. There could be more coming. I don't know.
These are some facts that could save your life one day. If you've been stabbed or punctured by a sharp object, your immediate thought's probably going to be, I need to get this out of my body right now. But unfortunately, that's the last thing you want to do. When you get stabbed by an object, it actually is used as a plug to stop the bleeding from happening. And if you take it out, you're going to start pouring blood everywhere, you're going to lose more blood, and you'll die. This is a pretty simple one that I've talked about before, but if you ever are at the beach and you hear a roaring sound, the ground starts to shake, or you notice the water starting to recede from the shore very quickly and a lot farther than normal, run for your life to high ground. This is because these are all the telltale signs that a tsunami is headed directly for you. And yeah, you're just not going to make it out of that if you stay on the beach. And this is perhaps the most important one that I have. If you're ever traveling abroad or you're not in your home country, most places, especially over in Europe, you can use your phone and dial 112. This will automatically connect you to the nearest emergency service and they'll get you the help that you need. Also, even if you don't have phone service, you can dial 911 in America and it will still contact you through to a dispatcher. Look, I'm just trying to help you out over here today, alright? And that's why...
Here are people who are one in a million. Up first, we have Jalisha Nightingale. This Bajan model has intriguing icy blue eyes. It's a condition called sectoral hediachromia. It causes the iris of the eye to be multicolored. Next up, we have Steph Senyade. This YouTuber got a ton of attention when she posted a video explaining her condition. She has a genetic mutation called Waardenburg syndrome. It means the bone structure in her face is very unique. It's also the reason for her crystal blue eyes and why they're set further than the average person. It also caused her to be deaf in her left ear. It can also cause problems with pigmentation, which explains why she has a white piece of hair.
This is a true horrifying story. Part 88. I will tell you about a place I recently discovered that may possibly be the most haunted place on this planet. The Bhangarh Fort.
Talk about it.
A 16th century fort built in the Rajasthan state of India. Madho Singh, an old ruler of the kingdom of Jaipur, lived in this fort. And it was built exactly 452 years ago. Back in the day, there was a high volume of dark rituals and many black magic practices done by the royals and the people around them. And in the fort, they have casted permanent spells within its walls. There also were wars inside and outside the Bhangarh Fort, and many people have died. Because of this place's history, many people are keen to visit this place, and you are allowed to visit. If you're a foreigner, you will not be allowed in without a government permit. If you're Indian, you can enter, but only when the sun is up. Warning boards all around the site issued by the ASI, constantly urging visitors to leave the premises before sunset, to strictly leave before the sun goes down. The state's government forbids anyone staying in the Bhangarh Fort at night because of the thousands of many incidents that happen that no one can explain. Everyone who stayed there after sundown has never returned, ever. Hundreds of people who claimed to be journalists laughed at this so-called tale and stayed the night in this place. They have all gone missing. No trail, no noises, and not even a body to be found. I genuinely thought that this couldn't possibly be real, but then after doing a lot of digging, I discovered that early state officials have apparently cleansed the place from its spells and curses. And it took them a while, and maybe that's why recently not many have gone missing. And people online claim that they were able to stay the night, but people miss the point. We're all very aware that the Bhangarh Fort is infested with jinns. And historically, in this fort, the jinns used to take the people away who stayed the night to an unknown place where they will never return. But today, They may not haunt you inside the fort, but they will definitely haunt you outside. In 2021, 3 daredevils decided to ignore the warnings and spent a night there with their torches and firewood. One of them was walking and injured himself. They all left to rush him to the hospital, but all 3 of them died in a car crash as soon as they left. Coincidence? Another story related to the Bhangarh Fort that happened in 2023 was a woman and her boyfriend decided to stay the night. They left and seemed to be all right, but the next day they were both found unconscious and they are currently in a coma state to this day from a very severe brain stroke. These strange stories happen all the time from that place, but they keep them hidden from the public. Other people from India that are not from this area may tell you that these stories are just tales, but not the locals. The locals have seen it all. They know what happens inside there. The jinns in Bhangarh Fort are no jinns to be messed with. Only the power of God can save you.
This father's reaction after being confronted of trying to force his daughters, who are now deceased, to marry older men is absolutely disgusting. If you want to watch the prison interview plus learn the details of the story, head over to my YouTube channel. It's all there.
Wanted the girls to be wed in arranged marriages in Egypt, right?
As arranged marriage now, this is big story because some people, they don't know what that means. They think we force a girl to marry the man we like, which is wrong.
Amina later wrote about her fears that you intended to, and these are her words, quote, sell them to the highest bidder, to an older man that she did not love in a land that she said she hated.
Okay.
What do you think about it?
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. Do you see me? I laugh. It's very funny.
If you see this happen, you need to run fast. If your dog is constantly staring or barking at a certain spot in the house, you need to get out of there. This could mean your house is haunted. Dogs are extremely good at sensing a presence that should not be there. Also, if you have random cold spots, you smell perfume which is not yours and hear funny noises at night, this means there could be a ghost in your house and you need to run fast. Make sure you share this message and follow for more.
Okay. The rarest human mutations that actually exist. First, only 1% of the world's population can swallow 3 times in a row. So if you can swallow 4 times in a row, then you are very rare. But it is almost impossible to swallow 5 times. Next, about 25% of people have phobic sneeze reflex, meaning they sneeze whenever they look at the sun. About 3% of the human population has no body odor at all. But about 1% has something known as fishy odor syndrome, meaning when they sweat, it smells like fish. About 80% of people have lines that form an M on their palms, and many believe it is a sign of good fortune. However, just 4% of people have an X on their palms, and this is believed to mean that they will become great leaders. Let us know if you have an M or an X on your palm. Moving on, how many colors did you see in this image? You can pause the video to count if you want to. Now, if you saw 33 to 39 colors, you could be part of a select group of people that have superhuman vision. Finally, only 53 people in human history have had the blood type RH norm. It is known as the golden blood type because it's worth its weight in gold. Baltimore?
Really?
I thought I had heard of all the worst serial killers, but I had never heard of this guy. This is Kurt Vickman, and he might go down as one of the worst serial killers in German history. Now, this is coming from a podcast episode I just did covering some of his worst confirmed crimes, but to show you how horrible he was, let me tell you a story. In 1989, a woman named Birgit Meyer vanished without a trace as she was leaving a restaurant heading home. Her husband was pretty quickly ruled out, and there were no other suspects really in this vanishing. But police got a tip that at one point in her life she had gone home with this very normal man named Kurt, and so police thought it's at least something, let's go check this guy out. So the police show up to his house just to ask him a few questions, and they bring a cadaver dog with them. Essentially, immediately once they get there, the cadaver dog sits down because it smells human remains. The dog proceeded to hit at over 100 sites on Kurt's property, indicating that human remains were at all of those sites. So the police are like, okay, we definitely have to investigate this guy. They get a warrant and they go straight into his house. And what they find in his basement, all the way in the back, is this locked door. Now, none of the other doors in his house are locked, and his wife says that she just doesn't ask questions about this door and she has no idea what's in it. And when police finally get inside of that door, it is essentially a torture chamber. They find torture devices, they find videos that he had made, videos that he had collected, they find women's purses, handbags, shoes, all of this stuff belonging to other women, and they find a pair of handcuffs that have a drop of blood on them. And when they test the blood, it's Birgit's. And then they start digging around his property and they find items belonging to what they believe is over 200 people. There is so much more to this story, as I'm sure you can imagine, and police in Germany are still trying to figure out the identity of all the people whose belongings Kurt had. I do a breakdown on some of his worst crimes. I also get a lot into his really crazy backstory, and you can listen to it on the Heart Starts Pounding podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Breaking news, authorities now say that Kohberger was direct messaging one of the victims. An investigator has stated that Kohberger has sent a series of messages to one of the victims. In late October, an account that authorities believe was Brian Kohberger sent a greeting to one of the female victims. However, the source says when he did not get a reply, he sent several more messages. The source says, quote, he slid into one of the girl's DMs several times, but she didn't respond. Basically, it was just him saying, hey, how are you? But he did it again and again. The IG account that authorities believe was Brian Kohberger's has since been deleted. However, it was viewed previously, and he did follow Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana. However, they say there were no public interactions between any of them. Authorities believe that Kohberger did not get a response as the victim missed the message. The investigator said, quote, she may not have seen them because they went into message requests. We're still trying to determine how aware the victims were of his existence. Furthermore, he states, quote, there's no indication that he was getting frustrated with her lack of response, but he was definitely persistent. Kohberger has not yet entered a plea, and his next hearing is set for June 26th. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
This is just tragic.
History facts I wish I didn't know. Tarare, a Frenchman from the 1700s, ate extraordinarily large amount of food, including animals and allegedly a baby. He suffered from polyphagia and died at 26. In 1888, James Jameson, heir to the Jameson whiskey fortune, bought a 10-year-old girl to observe her being unalived and eaten by cannibals in Congo. In the 18th century, dentures were sometimes made from the teeth of dead soldiers, notably those from the Battle of Waterloo, and sold to the wealthy. A Colorado farmer's chicken named Mike lived for 18 months without a head becoming a sensation and touring the U.S. Ancient Romans used human urine as a teeth whitening and stain remover for clothes due to its ammonia content. Frederick Bauer, the inventor of the Pringles can, was so proud of his invention that his remains were buried in a Pringles can after his death in 2008.
This was supposed to be the happiest day of their lives, but hours after this beautiful wedding ceremony, Samantha Miller was killed. This tragic story is a reminder to not drink and drive. 34-year-old Samantha Miller and Eric Hutchinson got married in 2023 when only a few minutes after leaving their wedding ceremony, they were hit by a drunk driver. The driver, Jamie Lee Komorowski, was 3 times over the alcohol limit and was going 65 miles per hour in a 25 zone. Samantha and Eric, along with 2 other family members, were driving back home in a golf cart, which actually made the impact a lot more serious. Unfortunately, Samantha passed away still in her wedding dress, while Eric and the 2 other family members survived. Now, it's a miracle that everyone else survived, but their injuries were so severe that they say they can't even go back to doing the things they used to. And just a couple of days ago, Jamie was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Now, this case doesn't even end there, because the bride's mother, Lisa Miller, sued Eric, the bride's husband, for her daughter's estate. Lisa's attorneys are trying to challenge the validity of her daughter's marriage with Eric, saying that because they didn't spend the night together on the day of their wedding, the marriage is invalid. Eric offered to give Lisa half of the money to just put an end to the situation, but she refused, and she just wants everything. Can you imagine losing your significant other on your wedding day and then having to deal with that grief, and then also having to deal with your own personal physical injuries, and then on top of that, you're being sued by your wife's mother?
What if climbing a staircase could show you exactly how you're going to die? There's a place in Brazil, Indiana called the 100 Steps Cemetery, and it is supposed to be one of the most haunted graveyards in the entire Midwest. By day, it looks totally ordinary, just like a rural cemetery with an old stone staircase. But by night, people swear that something in the air changes. Some say that the steps don't even feel like stone anymore. They claim that they feel more like bone. So legend says that you have to go there at midnight and you start at the bottom of the staircase. You then have to count each of the 100 steps out loud as you climb. That's when you meet him at the very top, the ghostly Undertaker. He has no face, he just has a dark suit, and some people say that he points directly to your future grave. Others claim that he shows you a vision, exactly how you're going to die, and that once you've seen that vision, you cannot unsee it, and this drives you into total madness. You then have to go down the stairs, slowly counting each step again. And if your final count doesn't match with the 100 that you started with, the vision that you saw isn't just a warning. It is now locked in. And it will happen. Like people say, if you try to cheat, if you try skipping steps or cutting across the hill, a ghostly hand comes up from the ground and shoves you hard enough to leave a red handprint on your skin. People say that this handprint burns. It's like getting like a branding. People who have done this ritual talk about having nightmares. Others say that they see shadow figures moving through the gravestones long after they have left. The worst stories are about the people who said that their visions started bleeding into real life, exactly how they were shown by the Undertaker. Even skeptics can admit that there is something deeply wrong about this place, and police constantly have to patrol the area because so many thrill seekers come in. That's why they put up this sign that says closed from dusk to dawn. But locals claim that this land was cursed from the start, and this cemetery is built over top of unmarked graves and violent deaths. And maybe that's the reason why this ritual feels more dangerous than just your average ghost story. Would you try this game? Let me know and follow for more.
Nope. I don't know why people can play those type of games, man. I don't need that. No type of bad energy in my life. Thrill seekers. I don't sound like a thrill to me.
Lil Nas X was just charged with 4 felonies. For those that don't know, Lil Nas X was recently seen wandering the streets of LA barely wearing anything. Now when this first happened, everyone thought it was some kind of publicity stunt for like a song or something, but as it turns out, it was completely real. Now when this incident occurred and Lil Nas was approached by police, he apparently resisted, and that added to some of his charges. Apparently he hit an officer in the face twice. His charges are currently 3 counts of battery against an officer and 1 count of resisting arrest. Now if Lil Nas is found guilty of this, he could face years of prison time. Currently we don't know the exact reason of why Lil Nas was wandering and why he acted the way that he acted. He could have been on something, or he could have just been having a complete mental breakdown. We don't quite know yet. But right now a lot of people think that it might be related to his hospitalization in April. Back in April he had partial facial paralysis and he was in a hospital for a little bit. So people think that during that hospital stay he might have got put on some medications, and maybe he got, hooked on those medications. But we don't know 100% for sure yet.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uneasy yet?
What is that?
Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
I'm cool, but I still won't go that even. That ain't me.
This mother took this video right before murdering her entire family after finding out that her husband had terminal brain cancer.
I have been struggling so much and really depressed and just have really become reclusive.
Last April, 48-year-old Ryan Long was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. His wife, 34-year-old Emily Long, began sharing her struggles on TikTok, talking about her depression and anxiety and how this has affected her overall. They had 3 beautiful children together, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And even though Emily talks about how this news has affected their kids, she did something that no one was expecting. On August 18th, a relative called police to do a welfare check on the family because it seems like no one was answering their calls and texts. When police arrived to their home in New Hampshire, they found everyone deceased, except for the 3-year-old. Turns out that Emily shot her husband multiple times before taking out her 2 kids, and not exactly clear why she spared her 3-year-old. A lot of people have their own opinions about that, but regardless, this is so disturbing that this child has to live a life without his family. But what also doesn't sit right with me is that right before this tragedy, Emily goes on TikTok and talks about how her close friend, who's also a therapist, was encouraging her to get help, but Emily said that she just wasn't ready yet.
For those who are going to ask, like, no, I'm not in therapy yet. I am just not there yet. I have thought about it. My girlfriend, who is a therapist, is all over it. She's ready for when the time comes, and I say, I need you to help me find someone. She will have someone on speed dial, and so I'm thankful for that too.
People think Brian Kohberger might not survive prison. In the complaint, he states that he is constantly being verbally threatened by other inmates. He specifically requests to be transferred from J block to B block because of this. It's so funny because, you know, those girls couldn't just move houses because he was coming to theirs. He wrote that he has not participated in disruptive behavior like flooding cells or stripping, and feels unfairly targeted. Inmates are allegedly shouting threats and vulgar comments at him. Brian Kohberger doesn't understand why this is happening. He hasn't done anything to them. These taunts include the only thing you'll be eating is cold burgers, mocking his last name, Kohberger. I will blink your booty bump, threats of a certain type of violence towards him. Now he understands how his victims felt seconds before they were ended, but he claims that all of this is unfair towards him. Even officers have actually acknowledged that they're hearing vulgar language directed towards him. However, they can't identify which inmate is making those threats, so they can't do anything about it. Take that information however you would like. One guard did admit that Kohberger was being harassed, and he told Kohberger he needed to give it some time. Overall, Kohberger is writing because he feels very unsafe in J Block and he wants out, but I fear because of the crime he committed, this will happen anywhere he is transferred as well. And ironically, this is actually exactly what many of the victim impact statements requested, like what the families were saying, that inmates would make his time in prison as miserable as possible. Let me know what you think about this and follow for more.
Extinct animals caught
actually have consequences.
Pterodactyl. Look carefully.
Ain't no pterodactyl. Might be a special type of bird. Far away. It looks like it. I'll give him that. What do you think?
This 98-year-old woman had her life ended in a snuff film. Margaret Douglas was a woman who lived in Ohio, and even at 98 years old, she lived by herself and was described by her family as being fiercely independent and healthy. Margaret told her family that the thing she was most excited about was being able to reach the age of 100 in just 2 short years, but sadly, her life would be brutally ended before she got to that point. In April of 2018, Margaret's partially nude body would be found stuffed inside of her bedroom closet, having been strangled to death. Margaret's 17-year-old neighbor, Gavin Ramsey, would eventually be brought in for questioning after several concerning videos and photos were found on his cell phone. The videos depict Gavin breaking into Margaret's home and then filming her while she slept on the couch for several minutes. After several minutes of watching her sleep, Gavin would jump on top of Margaret and proceed to strangle her to death. Afterwards, the video and photos would depict Gavin masturbating over top of Margaret's dead body before using her hands to masturbate himself. When asked why he did it, Gavin simply stated that he wanted to know what it felt like to take another human's life. He was quickly found guilty and is currently serving life in prison.
One in a million coincidences you will not believe actually happened. Right here you can see a sign saying thank you for driving carefully, but behind it is a car on its side. Right here you can see someone reading a book about birds when the real life bird landed on the page about itself. Right here you can see a sign pointing to the moon with the moon right in its pointed direction. And lastly, this dog perfectly aligned itself with the frothy white bit you get when the sea comes in at shore. Make sure you share these coincidences with everyone and follow for more.
These are extinct animals that scientists are close to bringing back. At number 1, we have the woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth was believed to have gone extinct 25,000 years ago. But scientists discovered hundreds that just died recently. So they are planning to put their DNA inside modern-day African elephants. And they expect to bring them back in the next 3 to 5 years. Number 2, dodo birds were hunted to extinction over 400 years ago. But a preserved head was recently discovered, and scientists are mixing the DNA from this head with that of a pigeon, meaning dodo birds should be back in the next 10 to 20 years. Next, expect to see saber-toothed tigers outside soon, because scientists recently discovered some of their DNA inside tar pits, and they plan to combine it with African lions. So this 10-inch tooth beast could be coming back in the next 10 to 20 years. Finally, the dire wolf was one of the most fearsome predators in the Ice Age and has been extinct for over 10,000 years. However, scientists are said to have brought them back to life this year using DNA recovered from fossils. Fourth more?
What is up with scientists, man, trying to bring back these animals? Don't they know that can, like, really mess with the ecosystem? They don't care about that, man. They're just, like, messing with creations, bro. They already brought back the freaking the dire wolf, we saw that, and the woolly mammoth. Then they do that with the mice. So they're getting closer and closer. They gonna bring back something that shouldn't be.
He ended his sister's life because his Xbox was lagging. 19-year-old Alexis Brianna Watkins was from Macon, Georgia, and lived in a home with her family. This included her 16-year-old brother Kevin, her mother Latoya, her 13-year-old brother, and her son. Alexis was described as outgoing and having a zest for life. She was in a relationship with her high school sweetheart. The two would end up getting engaged, and she would have her firstborn son. She poured her heart and soul into becoming the best mother that she could be for her son, and with her high school sweetheart, they were a very tight-knit and loving family. On February 2nd of 2018, Alexis's 16-year-old brother Kevin returned home from school and wanted to play his Xbox. He was getting angry because his Xbox was lagging, and he assumed it was because there was too many people on the Wi-Fi, so he went ahead and changed the password so that no one else could use it. Kevin and Alexis's 13-year-old brother realized what he had just did, so he went to go tell his mom. Once her mom found out what Kevin had did, she unplugged the internet router and went to his room and took out his Xbox. This made Kevin even more angrier. He confronted his mother, trying to fight her, but pushed her to the side and said, "I don't want to hit you." Alexis stepped in to save her mom and grabbed Kevin in a bear hug and told him to chill out. At this point, Kevin is in a fit of rage, and he has his sister in a prolonged chokehold lasting 15 minutes. The mother and 13-year-old brother tried to separate the two, but he told his mom that he would hurt her if she tried to intervene, so she ran to call 911. As she was waiting for police to arrive, Kevin still had a tight grip on his sister's neck. Once police arrived, Alexis was unconscious, her body was limp, and Kevin still wouldn't let go. Once officers told Kevin to release his grip, he did, but it was already too late. Alexis was rushed to the hospital, and they were able to resuscitate her, and she was sent to the ICU. She had a condition resulting of lack of oxygen to the brain, and the next day she passed away. Authorities immediately arrested Kevin, and he was charged with the murder of his sister. Ultimately, the judge found Kevin guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
This is one of the most disgusting and evil cases I've ever heard. In February of 2013 in the Bronx, New York, a man was walking his dog at around 4 a.m. when his dog began to sniff around and led the man to a pile of trash bags that were left on the curb. As the man got closer, he realized that there was an awful smell coming from the bags that were sitting on the curb. So he decided to investigate, and lo and behold, he discovered that the bags were full of dismembered body parts. The man then decided to call the police, and after further investigation, the police found multiple different bags full of more dismembered body parts scattered across the city. It would then be discovered that the dismembered body parts would belong to a 45-year-old at-home caregiver by the name of Tanya Bird. Her body parts were placed in multiple heavy-duty trash bags containing everything from her torso to her shoulders to even her head. But guys, if only that was the worst part. You see, police then moved on to contact Tanya's son, Basim McLean, in which he responded that he believed that his mom's abusive ex-boyfriend was the one behind the killing of his mother. but little did the police know that that was not the case. As part of the investigation, police decided to go through Basim McLean's phone to see if he had any connection with his mom's murder. And lo and behold, they discovered a picture of McLean smiling in a selfie while holding his mom's decapitated head in his left hand. Yes, this is the picture of McLean holding his mom's decapitated head like it's a trophy, and of course it's blurred because we're not going to show the actual picture on here. After this, though, he was actually sentenced to 25 years in prison, but wait, it gets crazier. You see, years prior, before he was arrested, Basim McLean was actually married to a woman named Vera McLean, in which him and her had a 4-year-old son together. And about a year into McLean's prison sentence, he gets a call while in jail that his ex-wife, Vera McLean, is being charged with murder after beating their 4-year-old son to death with a broomstick. She was then sentenced to 17 years in prison. So one of them killed their mother, dismembered her body, and then flaunted her head in a selfie, and the other one beat their son to death with a broomstick. That's a pretty twisted couple, if you ask me.
Truly was.
Here's some psychology hacks that can help rewire your brain for school to actually learn something and maybe pass, that I know work because I got 2 of these and I'm thinking about going back and getting another one.
Okay, I'm gonna be really, really real with you, even though this is gonna make TikTok upset and suppress the video, less people are gonna see it, okay? But you gotta get off the app. You can save this video, go watch it the rest of it in your camera roll, then if you want, if you like it, come back, give me a like and comment, but you gotta get off this app.
You can exploit the performance effect by reading out loud. Let me say it again, read out loud. Your brain will absorb it a lot better because you're trying to say it in a certain way out loud versus reading it in your head. Something called the spotlight effect that you can actually exploit, all by just raising your hand in class and asking that question that you think is dumb. Okay, I don't care if you think you're gonna get embarrassed. The class will forget. The teacher will remember that you participated, and your brain will actually like absorb something. Us humans have something called context memory, which means you should never be like laying down and studying unless you're gonna be laying down and taking the test. No, I'm sorry, you have to sit at a desk with maybe some harsh lights and just like background noise to distract you. So the setting is the same exact thing that you're learning in as you'd be taking the test in. Hear me out, I'm not saying that it's a good idea to tell people your plans before you do them, because your brain will actually be like, oh, I did it, when you didn't. But it might be a good idea to tell a friend, that somebody that you trust, maybe a group chat, that you're gonna like study this certain day, like you're gonna get this certain grade on a test, and they should hold you accountable, because shame does wonders. Exploit a spacing loop, which just means don't cram. I know this is gonna piss people off already. It's like, I always do it the night before and I'm fine. That's great. Your head would be better if you didn't do that. Instead of like every day, every 3 days, once a week, just review. Don't cram. Exploit blurt. When you're done reading a book, lie it down, and to be able to understand it, write everything that you remember about what you just read and then go and teach it to somebody. That is the fastest way to get it in your head. Exploit pre-testing.
Really?
Give yourself a test, okay? Before you read the material, test yourself. After you read the material, test yourself. After you teach somebody it, test yourself. Really be honest about what you do and what you don't know. And finally, I'm gonna say exploit the consolidation effect. The fact that you need to sleep more than you study. As long as you're doing everything else in study, you need to sleep. That's how your brain actually like gets it in there, okay? So just rest. It's the same with like physical working out activity. Your body grows muscles in your sleep, not in the gym. Your brain is gonna put it all in here while you sleep, not while you're reading it.
So you need to get those 8 hours, bro. Okay. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Follow me on my social medias. You guys are going to catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.